Thank you for this opportunity to speak about the Atlantic Yards Redevelopment Project as it relates specifically to the draft SEIS submitted this past March. My name is Walter Mosley, New York State Assemblyman from 57th Assembly District. I currently sit on several committees, but to be exact, the relevant committees I sit on as it pertains to this project are Housing and Corporations Authority and Commissions Committees. However, more importantly, I'm a lifelong third-generation Brooklynite. I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband. And I say this to give you an understanding that my interest in how we move forward with this project is personal to me and my constituents. The late great New York Congressman Major Owens was once quoted as saying that the use of power to advocate on behalf of the powerless is the greatest virtue of any leader. Now, during my career as a public official, I've had the pleasure to serve my district at several levels, whether it's been through my participation in our local community board, as a state committeeman, or currently as a member of the New York State Assembly. I've had the pleasure of representing my district with the sole intent of making sure that whatever development takes place, that we move forward and closer to the ideals of equality, fairness, and transparency. In the spirit, as noted by my predecessor, I'm again urging the developers and the ESD to make a concerted effort to ensure that the project does not ignore the will and desires of any resident who wishes to take on an active role in the effort to establish a new and sincere paradigm that will seek to truly respect and revitalize the local community and the borough as a whole. Now, with this in mind, I believe that tonight is another opportunity for all parties involved to unite around our core values as neighbors as we take into account what is needed to ensure the appropriate level of transparency and assurance as it relates to, one, the build-out commitment within the necessary time frame to meet the affordable housing goals promised to the community, two, providing the appropriate level of construction compliance and oversight over the current and subsequent construction phases, and three, installing an on-site state-sponsored environmental monitor, and four, putting in place an independent board where community input and accountability is guaranteed. To meet these challenges, along with several others, the following measures need to be put in place to provide the necessary assurance and public supervision as we seek to heighten the level of accountability and project governance going forward. As such, a project oversight entity to supervise the Atlantic Yards project remains an absolute necessity. In the past, ESD has established subsidiaries to formally involve the city and local elected officials in the governance of similar projects, i.e. Brooklyn Bridge Development Corporation and the Queens West Development Corporation. The fact that we do not have project oversight subsidiaries to Atlantic Yards only heightens the fact that we have less accountability in comparison to similar projects. To address this, we would suggest ESD establish a subsidiary corporation for the ongoing oversight of the Atlantic Yards project, inclusive of a board of directors made up of, in part, public officials. The entity would be created to undertake four key responsibilities: oversee the implementation of the design guidelines for the construction of the subsequent towers, coordinate the involvement of the state and city agencies responsible for the environmental impact mitigation, manage the development of policies surrounding the project, including environmental concerns, and last, approve changes to the general project plan with community involvement and comments. In light of the draft SEIS findings and based upon the development's most recent decision to build the next three towers with conventional construction methods, indicates that a prolonged phase 2 construction period is imminent. Subsequently, we need to comprehensively identify all adverse environmental impacts that must address, in part, local community facilities, construction period for open space, transportation, both operational and during construction, and ongoing construction, noise, and air pollution. I'm committed to the process of ensuring that the build-out plan for Phase 2 seeks to engage and include the participation of local elected officials and community members. However, I also feel compelled to believe that we take this moment in time and look at this period to include within the future plans of this development the site, the core values of equality, reciprocity, and transparency. As a resident and representative of this community, my constituents and neighbors should be assured, at the very least, to believe that this process and its outcomes here tonight will be different. And if it is different, that we move forward together as partners and not as adversaries. And last but certainly not least, I want to put into the record that my request that the public review period for the draft SEIS, which was released on March 28, 34 days ago, be extended for an additional 60 days. As announced by ESD, you will close the period for written public comments on May 12th, which is 45 days from the release of the draft SEIS. I, along with many others, believe that it is insufficient amount of time for my constituents and neighbors to properly analyze and respond to a document of more than 1,200 pages, and it compares unfavorably to an 85-day public comment period allowed by the draft scope of work issued on December 19th of 2012, and a 67-day comment period of the draft EIS issued on July 2006. I'm closing. To this end, I would urge ESD to reevaluate and reissue a new deadline in response to this most recent impact study. Thank you again for this opportunity to testify.